Hey friends, today we're here with Greg Forrest with Sothebys International Realty. We're going to have a great time today. We're going to be talking a lot about Palm Beach. We're going to talk about some historic West Palm Beach neighborhoods. We're going to talk about some sales strategies, some coaching, and a lot of really good stuff. I really like this man. Been friends with him for a little while, and just have a lot of respect for you, Greg. Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, really appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And I love your story. So tell me a little bit about how you got into real estate.
Yeah, so real estate, gosh, I never really thought I would be in real estate until about 6 months before I got in. My whole life was just devoted to golf. I grew up a collegiate, junior, accomplished golfer, and then I just dealt with some injuries, man. I know you've been an athlete and traveled and done some cool stuff, and we just get old, man. So, I just had to kind of change it up. I mean, I just knew I needed to do something competitive because I was so used to just being competitive with golf. So, yeah, I started watching like TV shows and was like, man, I could do this. This is pretty cool. And some of these commissions maybe look like what they would be playing on the PGA Tour. So let's do it. Yeah, man. So I kind of just, jumped right in. I got on a team in Jupiter and, was fed some leads and just kind of learned the business, just kind of being thrown in the pot. And I think, or thrown in the fire, I think, that's something that you can't really teach. And it's just something that you just kind of adapt and get used to it. So, it was about 10 years ago that I got in, and so I was about 25. And growing up in this area, it was kind of a natural thing for me. But it was a humbling experience. I mean, to go from traveling and playing pro golf, and then I had a short stint selling shoes at Nordstrom, if you can believe that. So I learned a little sales there, and then just jumped right into real estate. So,
was it hard exiting golf?
It was. It was. I mean, it was everything. It was my whole life. I put everything into it probably since I was 8 years old. Was recruited by a bunch of, Division I colleges and went to UCF and played 4 years, and, dealt with some injuries there. Still kind of had the light at the end of the tunnel that maybe I'll play pro, but, injuries started to pile up, and mentally it was just, it just wore you down. Like when you can't do what you're supposed to do at a high level because of something that you really can't control at the time, it's frustrating. So, I grew up with great, family values and morals. I was raised in a Christian home, and I kind of strayed, but right at the right time, I felt like I got peace and I got humility in my life. Really right when that moment happened where my dad's like, you got to move out, you got to get a job, son, like you're on your own. So I had to change it up, and I felt at peace about it at the time. And, it's cool seeing guys that I used to compete against win on the PGA Tour, because it does happen. And I love that, I'm not really like, I don't really feel bad about that or anything. I'm not really missing it anymore. Which is cool. It's cool to have that perspective. So.
Now, how do you integrate golf into your business now? Do you integrate golf?
Yeah. So thankfully, I've found a great doctor of physical therapy that's really helped me out. And I've kind of been able to. I mean, I had a freak knee accident last year on the beach, but not even related to golf or anything. But now I'm kind of feeling a little better. I can play golf now here and there. I kind of pick my spots. But yeah, it's a great way to connect with clients. I mean, knowing, growing up and kind of working at a high-end country club, we kind of speak the same language. I can reference certain golf courses. Like I even will see the logo on their shirt, and I'm like, oh, you remember there? So it's a good way to, build rapport and kind of have an in with people. And, I mean, like a couple weeks ago, I played up in Atlanta with, a couple of heavy hitters, CEO of the Braves. I mean, it kind of leads to opportunities, I think. So, I'm working on getting in the gym and trying to stay healthy and stay out there. So
how'd you shoot?
Like a 74. I'm kind of hover around par. It's kind of boring for me. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of boring for me because I used to make a lot of birdies and less bogeys, but it's still fun, man. I get a kick out of it. I can still I weigh a little more now than I used to, so I can pull a weight into the drive.
There you go.
Hit the long ball. Yeah.
So tell me about that. So we're in Palm Beach County. I mean, Palm Beach County is like literally like the mecca for golf. I forgot how many golf courses there are, like over 1,200 or something like that.
Stupid.
I mean, there's a lot of golf courses. There's a lot of professional golfers here. Mm-hmm. A lot of great facilities, a lot of great club communities. What do you feel the future is for club communities? Because like in the old days, it was always, hey, let's join the club community. You pay your $100,000 initiation. You pay these huge fees every year. Do you feel like that's kind of like going away? Or do you feel like that's as strong as ever?
It was going away, and then COVID happened. I mean, we're seeing clubs still with waiting lists. I mean, you know, Related Group and the ě5 Group, like they're building, you know, Discovery. They're building, there's like 5 golf courses going in Hope Sound that they've already, you know, commenced that are going to be like ultra luxury, high end, right over there by Jordan's place, the Grove. So, you know, Michael Jordan built a course in our area called the Grove, and you know, there's no homes out there, but everybody's just flocking here from the north. I mean, we have such a direct sort of line to New York, you know, the Hamptons, Nantucket, Long Island, that everybody up there, you know, is so used to just playing prestigious golf. And I think we have those courses down here, but we still kind of lack some inventory with that. So there's been a huge need for clubs where, gosh, 10 years in the business, I remember 4 years ago, it was like we were trying to get people to join clubs. And, I mean, memberships were, I'm glad I got a membership back then because I didn't pay what they're paying now. So, you know, I kind of got in that right at the right time, which is nice being in real estate because you can sort of see and, you know, get a glance of the market ahead. But yeah, man, it's been crazy down here. Like it's just not that big of an area. We only kind of go north and south here. Where in New York, they're kind of going all directions. North, south, east, and west is the expansion. Where here, because of the Everglades, like we just have north and south. So we don't have as much area. So I think there's just always going to be a demand for new development.
Yeah, and we get 365 play here. Literally every day.
Yeah, and the weather. I mean, gosh, I forgot about that. I mean, and even it's so funny because we're starting to become way more, I think, annual. Like Palm Beach, for instance, is a resort market. We call it a resort market. But I'll look at the average temperature here versus New York, even in the middle of August, and we're like 2 degrees hotter. I mean, yeah, we're more humid. I mean, we all sweat a lot down here, but you know, you lose some weight with that, right? But yeah, I mean, we're really not much hotter than the average temperature in New York City in the middle of summer. So, and then we don't get snow in the winter. So,
do you feel like when buyers are coming down to Palm Beach, they're moving down here, they're joining a financial firm? I mean, West Palm is now becoming like the financial mecca of the South. You know, you have Goldman Sachs and all these big hedge funds coming into town, private equity. You know, so these guys that are coming in, guys and girls, are they looking to get maybe a piece of property on the water or in Palm Beach or in a different community and then just join a club? Or are you seeing people that want to like live in the community where the club is?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think it's a mix. I think we don't have so many, you know, I sell mostly east, meaning kind of east of 95, waterfront, you know, prime, dry lot areas. And we just don't have a ton of those country clubs. So people are used to buying. I mean, the entire town of Palm Beach is, I don't know if it's the second or third or even first now, probably richest per capita island or town in America. And there's really no gates. I mean, there's a couple gates for, you know, your own private compound. There's a couple areas of, you know, 5 or 6 homes that are gated, but there's no gate. You know, so like people are used to that lifestyle. They're used to just no HOA. You know, I've got the beach, I've got the intercoastal, I've got my boat. You know, it's definitely a different feel. But then you also have, you know, I sell the Palm Beaches. So in Palm Beach Gardens, for instance, we have a few more clubs. It's a newer area, wasn't as developed as early on. So, you know, golf became more popular later in Florida, and so we have the country clubs here, and I specialize in those too. I mean, growing up, in the golf industry, like, I can speak the language. I probably know the head pro. I can get, a free round for prospective buyer that's looking. And, so we're definitely seeing both, Ryan. I think it's not so much one more than the other. It's kind of an apple and an orange.
Yep. Now, let's talk a little bit about Palm Beach, because you sell Palm Beach Island. Not everybody knows Palm Beach Island, but
sure,
we'll throw kind of a map up on the screen where you can see it. But basically, it's just a barrier island just east of West Palm Beach.
Yep.
It's not very big,
no.
But why do people buy in Palm Beach? Like, tell me a little bit about Palm Beach. Why is it so special?
Yeah, I mean, Palm Beach is something that's funny. I grew up in a town called Stewart, which is not too far from Palm Beach, and people probably that are used to this area have heard of it, but even me growing up, I never really went to Palm Beach. So the question that you're asking is very, it's like, what is this place? But, over the last 10, 15 years, I've spent more time there, obviously with selling real estate, but visiting. I mean, it's basically this combination of, kind of a Meisner-esque sort of Spanish vibe meets the beach. You have all these beautiful villas that are down near Worth Avenue, where a villa is like a very kind of small boutique area that like has shops and restaurants, and like you have all these, amazing architectural features, but nothing is too tall. It's very quaint. It's very boutique. You're literally, you're a 3-minute walk to the beach anywhere on the island. You're a 3-minute walk to the lake trail, which is a very cool biking kind of walking trail on the island. So you have all of the shops, you have the lifestyle, you have the beach, and then you have these just insanely stunning single-family homes that were built with just so much charm and character back in the 20s. Mostly, you have a stint that were built in the 40s and 50s as well. So a lot of developers have come and started developing on the island, spec homes or lot splits. Potentially, because you have some bigger lots on Palm Beach. I mean, that's really what's been selling the hottest lately is stuff north of 20, 30 million. That's a bigger lot, bigger land for people to kind of, have their place in the world. But yeah, you just have all these insanely rich CEOs and wealthy individuals that, either properties have been passed down or they're just like discovering it on their own. They're coming from New York, they're coming from the Hamptons, they're coming from, all those places now, even more so California. We're seeing a flock. So to sum it up, it's a great place to like live and work and hang out. I mean, the restaurant scene now at night, we're seeing younger people, and it's really vibrant. I mean, the middle of season last year, you can't get in anywhere. You have to book a res. But it's not so much so busy that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like this is Miami. Like it's not even close. So I like that it's like this beautiful boutique town that, really has a vibrant scene to it. So
it's a special place for sure.
It's a special place, man. Kind of like the studio. It's very special.
Palm Beach is so cool because it's like it's like laid back, but like super.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking like it's like you can show up and like a polo and shorts with sandals and go to the breakers. I mean, like it's easy. It's easy living. It's not too stuffy. People think, oh, it's kind of stuffy. It's not. It really isn't. I mean, you're going to get all kinds of people, all walks of life, insane wealth. But at the end of the day, it's very much a coastal, beach kind of town. So
I can totally see you with the Ferragamos, no socks, polo with a little pink
sweater
over your shoulders.
I didn't know what Ferragamo was until about 4 years ago. But yeah, I have a couple showing shoes, I call them. But yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, so properties in Palm Beach, just out of curiosity, like to get a property on the ocean, like what's it going to run you?
Yeah, a lot of money. Yeah, I mean,
20 million, 50 million.
Yeah, I mean, you're north of 50 right now for something on the ocean. Even the dry lot stuff that's still beautiful. We're talking 3,000 a foot.
Wow.
So we're a 5,000 foot house on a standard lot is 15 million. Where something on the ocean is, 80, 100, 150. I mean, it's becoming, it's a bit, I'm not going to use the word it's so much in demand because there's just not much of it. And you're seeing that happen in Miami. Like Miami was lagging us for a long time in pricing. But now, Bezos just bought something on in the Venetian Islands, and he paid 65, and nothing's really sold for that, in Miami on the kind of property he bought. And, we're just seeing like an insane amount of demand for, I mean, it's not a big place. So, it instantly creates a supply and demand, kind of swaying towards like, hey, like, since it's not that big, it's going to be desirable. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think about like a $50 million house, like what the tax bill is on a $50 million house.
Yeah, you don't want to think about that.
It's like $1 million a year in taxes. Just for your real estate tax.
Yep.
Plus your upkeep, your insurance.
Hustle, so you can pay for that, Ryan.
Yeah. Well, I got a feeling if you're buying a $50 million house, you probably make.
You're not worried about it. Yeah.
You probably make $1 million a day just on interest on your money.
And just so everyone knows, like we help people from $500K to, I mean, we do have a few buyers looking in that 50 million range, but it's like we help people from kind of all walks of life. Like I never want to be known as the guy who's just selling to, the ultra luxury. It's fun. You get to meet great people, and obviously the money's better, but it's all the same. But we really try to create a great client experience for all levels of real estate. So
yeah, and I can actually attest to that because we worked on many clients together, and you put the same amount of work, energy, negotiations, all of that into. I mean, we did a deal for like $350,000.
Yeah,
and you put the same amount of work into that deal as you did, probably on a $3-4 million house. So, but that just speaks to your character.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's just something that has kind of been engraved in me for a long time, and I want people to win in life, and we talk about, the sort of wealth accumulator, like in our coaching, because we're both in coaching, and just trying to educate people on like what, really makes sense for them, because it's a big decision, right? Like buying a house, even somebody at 350, 500,000. I mean, they're probably, spending the majority of their, bank account on a house.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big deal. How are you feeling about the market right now? So we're in August 2023. I mean, rates literally just peaked at the highest level since 2002. So rates are generally speaking in the mid.
Yeah, I heard.
7s.
Is there stuff in the 9s right now or something? It's
maybe
crazy.
like on investment property.
Yeah, right.
I mean, certain situations, but in general, like you're probably like low to mid 7s,
right?
Which is fairly high. There is talk rates could go to the 8s. There's still like a lack of inventory, but how are you just overall, feeling about the market?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of slow and steady right now. I mean, we're active because we have activity every day. Whatever we're trying to do prospecting wise, but I feel the market is still strong, and that it's, our inventory is kind of still almost half of what it was pre-COVID. So we don't have as much to offer. So I think that is naturally right, creating supply and demand. But I do think that, the talk right now is, with election year coming up, like what's going to really happen. I mean, we all know, like I keep saying, like I tell people like, when COVID happened, right, everybody thought the world was going to end. Yeah. I didn't really think too far into that, but people were really like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, everybody just started buying real estate. So like when stuff gets really bad, like it's like Warren Buffett used to always say that, right? And still does. Is probably when is a good time to buy. And I think that everyone kind of was clamoring about, let me find my place in the world before it ends. I mean, it's just, there's something to that. If you think about that in sort of bad times, right, people want to escape, right? So what did they do? They started buying homes, right? They started coming from the north. Hey, I want to get in better weather. Or they were on the fence. They were like, hey, I'm going to jump. And then they started seeing the market go way, way up an insane rate. And then now I think we're seeing people just kind of chilling because they've gotten such a great rate on their property, and they're like, wow, rates are 7s now. If I move, I got to, buy a house at 7.5%. So, I do think that there's a little bit of hesitation out there, but it's going to go one way or the other. I don't have a crystal ball.
Yep.
But I look at the fact that population is growing every year. Real estate, if you look at a chart from 1950, it's always trended up. So I don't really see it going down in my lifetime. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, it's just the natural course of inflation over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I look at my grandfather's house. I always talk about his house. I own his house now, but he passed away 2 years ago at the age of 105. And he built his house in 1945.
105.
Yeah.
Got good genes, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was,
and great skin. That's like your skin.
That was my
you
boy.
got a great skin routine, too. You look great.
Yeah. I take it from my grandpa. Exfoliate every day.
Yeah, really. I got to do that.
But he bought his first house for $15,000.
Yep.
$15,000. And that house today is probably worth $350,000.
Yeah. I mean, and that's funny you say that, because I've had people recently that are buying when we've sold a house for a client, or the house sold in like 2020, 2021, or like 2019, 2020 before the pandemic. And it's like, oh, they sold it for, that, or they bought it for, $500K and now it's $1.5 million. Like, well, did you see what it sold for like back in 1980? It sold for like 10 grand. It's just like, so, it's just funny to see that, how much appreciation there's been. And then when somebody says like, oh, it's doubled or tripled, I'm like, well, look what happened back, it's 100x, since then. So
real estate is the number one way to build wealth.
Yep.
Period.
100%. Yeah.
I talk to first-time home buyers all the time, and they, right now they're getting cold feet because, rates are high, payments a little bit more than I would be paying for rent. And if I break down like a rent versus own calculation, like, okay, well, let's just assume your payment and your rent is exactly the same. Let's just say they're both $3,000.
Exactly the same.
Let's just say they're exactly the same. They're both $3,000, but let's just take it over 5 years. So over 5 years, that rent is going to go up because typically landlords raise 2 to 5% per year.
Yep.
Plus your renter's insurance is probably going to go up. So we run those numbers for over 5 years. And then I take his mortgage payment, which is going to remain steady because it's a 30-year fixed. Your taxes, since your homestead, are going to be capped at 3% per year. Insurance will remain relatively stable. Take that over 5 years. But then I add in the appreciation of the home.
Yep.
Forecasted appreciation is around 5%.
Yep.
So take that over, and then we show the amortization of the loan because you're paying the same amount, but when you buy, the loan is going down, the balance is going down.
Correct. More principal.
So you add in the amortization, you add in the appreciation, and then you say, oh, wow, the difference is about $150,000 versus renting. So if you buy and you sold that home in 5 years, you could put $150,000 in your pocket. If you rented, there's nothing there.
Nothing. Yeah, it's almost like the appreciation in rent that you're paying for is probably less than the appreciation that you're benefiting from owning the home.
Yeah.
So it's going the opposite way. And then you have all these benefits of writing off your interest, and taxes and, depreciation. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I it's like a hammer every day. I'm sure that you are like, kind of like, come on.
I'm noticing just it's a lot more education right now. It's a lot more educating the
100%,
clients on what to do and showing them the real numbers, and just having those conversations. But listen, don't get stuck on the rate right now. Let's just say your rate's 7.25. When the rate goes down in the next couple of years, which most likely it's going to, because inflation's starting to go down. The Fed did all this work of increasing the short-term rates, which is bringing the inflation down, which it's already starting to come down. Let's just say it takes 2 years, and you're paying a 1% higher rate for the next 2 years. Okay, well, maybe that's $4 or $5 grand extra in interest over 2 years. What's 5% appreciation times a $500,000 house? That's $25 grand a year. So you're talking, you could make 50, but you're going to have to maybe spend about 5 more in interest. And then we refinance the note when rates come down.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's a great, the mortgage is something that I think for a long time was sort of misunderstood, or, oh, you don't want to have a mortgage and all, some of these, people will say, oh, never, buy a house cash. But like, the mortgage is insane. I mean, the fact that you can own your house and leverage that asset, whether it's 3.5% down, 5% down. I mean, you're talking about a 20x leverage on something.
Right.
Why not? Take advantage.
Yeah, people don't talk about that. That's such a great point. It's like for the $500,000 house, like in that example, like you literally could buy that with 3% down. So you could control a $500,000 asset for 15 grand.
Yep.
And you could make 5% appreciation per year. So you could literally put 15 down, get 25 back in appreciation just in 1 year.
Yep.
Like, show me where you can get an investment like that.
Show me where the money is, right?
Yeah.
This is where the money is.
So switching gears, I had something I wanted to ask you too. Is like you're such an authentic person. Like anybody who knows you and your clients, when you meet, when you get together, it's like hanging out with like a family member from a long time ago or a good friend. Like you're super authentic. And I think like in today's world, like everything's so digital. Everything's, social media and texting and, how do you maintain that authenticity with your clients in a digital world?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, at the end of the day, we're in sales, right? So, I mean, we're the ones that are basically, we want to help people because we know, right, that we're going to take great care of them. I think deep down, same with you, Ryan. Always feel that you're super authentic and, take great care of your clients and your family man, and something I don't have yet, but, would love to have someday because, in this digital world, it's so digital now. I mean, it's just becoming so much more, almost like an alternative reality type situation, but then there's real life, touch and feel real estate that we get to partake in. And I think, with me, it's staying in touch. It's touching them with handwritten notes. It's gifting. We really try to go out of our way to kind of create a more wow experience. So we have a process of, really getting to know that person. And, I like to always say to my clients too, like, hey, like, if you guys were my parents, here's what I would say, like trying to make it more of a family, type of relationship. Because I think the more and more we get digital and the more and more we get away from, people are starting to, get closer to their family and realize like what's important in life. And I think that making that part of your business, or like a, like a true, core value of my business is to just take great care of people. And yeah, I get frustrated. Sometimes people just don't have that automatic trust in me, and they're kind of like, whatever they're going through, they might be sort of going through something, and that's why they're treating me that way. And I think I understand that more than others, and I'm trying to just be like, all right, look, I know this is a scary situation. I know you're, probably thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose the house, or oh my gosh, this is a huge investment, but I get it. This is what I've gone through personally. This is what other clients go through. And, here's why we can, make sure that it goes smoothly, that it closes on time, because ultimately we're in the managing fear business, right? I mean, I keep saying that, like it's every day I'm just trying to manage people's fear. So, I have to not be fearful when I go to work. I have to be positive, and I have to like show like, okay, I know what's going to happen from experience. Here's why we're going to work this out. So, I think to answer your question, it's a culmination of, personal touches, really making the client feel like they're being heard. I used to be a terrible listener, still struggle with it a little bit, but I've studied negotiating and listening and active listening, and it's really helped me, look at my clients in the eye and understanding what they're going through and listening. And because it's hard to like, sometimes we want to talk, like we're talking on the phone with a lot of people, and we need to hear them out, let them speak. So
yeah,
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, 100%, definitely. Tell me a little bit about your Like, do you have a different approach for dealing with, say, a buyer and dealing with a seller? Like, what is the approach? How is the approach different from like a sales perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's so different dealing with a buyer versus dealing with a seller. When I'm working with a buyer, technically, you know, almost all the time there's a listing agent. And so my job really is to get as much information out of the listing agent as possible. So I'm going to ask calibrated strategic questions to really get that agent to divulge probably more than they wanted to. And then I love screenshotting or sending emails back to my client. Hey, this is exactly what we heard from the agent. You know, I asked them, hey, other than list price, what number do you think gets this done? And they'll spit out a number. I swear it's crazy. Like, where on the seller side, I'm interested in playing cool. You know, I don't want to give anything away. So I'm trying to get the most information on the buyer side, and I'm trying to give away the least on the seller side. So I might have an agent ask me the same question, and, you know, well, a number other than list, I mean, make an offer, you know. I'm not going to tell them the answer to that, you know, or figuring out a way to basically tell them no without saying no. Like, hey, my seller is very, very appreciative of your offer, but they're just not in a position to take it right now. And then put it back on the agent, right? So I love dealing with the different sides of that. Something that I study up on, that I really enjoy doing, and really kind of giving my clients a level up, an advantage. Like, for instance, even new construction has been huge down in West Palm, and some of these new developments, like, you go in the sales office and they're going to basically want to sign you up at list price, but I'm in there, you know, hey, other than list, what number gets this done? Or my client's really, really wanting to buy it. Like, tell me about sales recently. Like, I really want you to get a sale. Like, will they take, you know, this amount? So I'm recently got a guy, you know, a deal on a very prominent project down there, and, you know, I'm sure they wouldn't want me to advertise that, but I love doing that. Like, I want to get my client a great price, because new dev, especially buying it pre-construction, it usually is always a great investment. I mean, 80% of the time it's going to go up versus down.
And that's the value of having an agent, because if you
100%,
if you just walk into the builder's office,
100%.
They work for the builder. They're going to get the highest price for the builder. And people don't think, hey, you can negotiate the price, or you can negotiate terms.
Price and terms, 100%. And I think a lot of people think, well, I can do it better on my own, and that's fine. Like, look, I think a lot of people, we as humans like control. So, like, a buyer is going to like sometimes to just do it on his own, but, like, he might have signed something and they might have thrown in a 1.5% developer fee. He had no idea that I negotiate developer fees all the time. So on a $5 million deal, you know, he just saved, you know, he just overspent $150,000, you know, where I would be like, no, we're not doing a developer fee. Like, developer's making plenty of money here.
Oh, and by the way, he doesn't have to pay you anything because the builder pays you.
100%. Yeah. So, you know, it's education. It's managing fear. It's getting people to trust you. And that's why, you know, we in coaching work a warm business, because we kind of have that, what we call a triangle for trust. Right. Where if I met, you know, Tiger Woods on the sidewalk, I'd have a much harder chance getting to play golf with him than if his trusted, you know, swing coach or, you know, personal trainer introduced me to him. Like, I've automatically got a way better warm in. And so, yeah, like, building trust with people. I mean, especially in real estate, where we're kind of behind the scenes and we're kind of like, oh, I'm sure the client's wondering, oh, what's going on behind the scenes and what are they getting paid? And yeah.
Have you, out of curiosity, have you heard any of these rumblings where they're talking about taking away the buyer's agent commissions? Have you heard any of that stuff going on? It's been in the news. I
haven't. No.
Some lawsuits and stuff. Yeah. We'll table it because I don't know much about it either.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you knew anything about it. What advice would you give to somebody looking to start off in real estate? So it's funny story is, when you got started, you started off at Illustrated. I think, was that your first place? Or second? First place, yeah. And so at the time, I was running the in-house mortgage division for Illustrated, like with Tom Day and the company I was with at the time. So I had loan officers in all the offices. I was the manager. And I remember meeting you when you first started.
Yeah.
And you were working on a team.
I was a young buck.
Hustling some deals. But I love your approach And I tell agents all the time that, listen, if you're going to get into real estate, get a great mentor, work on a team, learn, stick it out.
Yeah.
You're not going to make a bunch of money your first couple of years.
Nope. I sure didn't.
You have to become a student of the sport or of the business. But so tell me, what advice would you give to a new agent starting out?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. It's really, I mean, when I started out, I worked at Nordstrom for 7 months randomly. And, you know, it was something that, you know, I knew I had to get sort of a temporary job in between real estate and golf, or golf and real estate. And, you know, I got to buy some great suits working at Nordstrom. And so I just put on my best suit and walked into 5 or 6 or 7 real estate offices and didn't even call, didn't even make an appointment. I just said, hey, who's your top agent, and is he looking for an assistant? And that's kind of like my strategy in the beginning, was just put myself out there, not be afraid. I mean, I played professional golf. There's a lot of pressure, you know, coming down the stretch. I mean, there's a lot of grinding you have to do every day. So I'm like, this is nothing. Like, I'm just going to put on a suit and ask someone if they need, you know, help. So I got some great introductions. I got some good interviews, and then I found, you know, a team locally that hired me and kind of took a chance on me, I like to say. But yeah, I mean, the first couple of years, I really didn't make, you know, a ton of money at all, because it's just, in real estate, it's really about creating that network, all about who you know. You have to have trust. So it takes time. So if you're on a team, there's some spillover in leads. I say to agents all the time, like, yeah, if you're starting out, you know, let's look at something that maybe, yeah, there's a team format where, you know, you're getting thrown leads, and then, yeah, you jump into some entry-level coaching, something to get you kind of doing the right things every day. Like, I wish, and you wish, right, that you got into coaching sooner than you did. So, you know, that would be my advice, really. A lot of brokerages will try to pluck people maybe that come from, you know, a background of knowing, you know, a bunch of wealthy people, or they have a great network, and or even just a local, you know, Keller Williams, et cetera. Like, they're trying to teach you their systems and kind of, you know, get you plugged in. But if you don't really have, you know, a network or something where you haven't really been generating this potential lead flow, then it's really hard to start on your own. Yep. Really hard. Yeah.
So on that note, you know, you touched on coaching, and you and I both get mentored and coached by the same person, Rick Ruby, with the Core. And I know it's been a game changer for me. But tell me a little bit about, you know, what does coaching mean to you, and why is it so important?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a coach really my whole life. When I grew up playing golf, I had a swing coach, and then I had a college coach, and then, you know, still had a swing coach. So I've always had a swing coach, personal trainer, stuff like that. So I'm used to getting, you know, instruction, direction. I mean, I think, right, like, good people really are good. They're only going to be good, but great people, I think, are great because they've had, you know, constructive criticism in their life. They've been back against the wall. They've had to, you know, come out of the fire. You had a crazy event with your office where it burned down, and now look how beautiful it is. I mean, it's ashes to beauty. So you have to play the long game. But yeah, I mean, it means a lot to me. It's something that inherently we fight, I think, sometimes as human beings. Like, it's in our nature to not want to buy it completely all in, and we're like, you know, this is really pushing my comfort zone. But that's the key, is that you want, I think in life, is to constantly push your comfort zone. You know, be a true fighter, warrior, whatever you're doing. I mean, as men, gosh, man, men today have just gotten soft, you know, and I think it's just the culture we live in. But at the end of the day, you know, when you have that mentality every day, you wake up and you're like, okay, I got to go after it today. I don't even feel like it, but you start to get into a rhythm of that. I think it breeds success.
100%. Yeah, the accountability for me is just it's where it's at. I mean, that's why I love, like, going to, like, CrossFit, because if I don't have, like, somebody yelling at me, and I don't have like the competition
Yeah.
piece, it's tough to really push myself. But having a coach where they're literally holding you accountable to do certain things and to meet certain goals, it's just a game changer.
100%. Yeah, it's such a game changer, and I feel blessed to be a part of it. You know, I kind of got in by the you know, skin of my teeth. I just, you know, really started at the bottom, and I'm kind of working my way up, you know, within the core rankings, and you know, even locally, I still feel like I got a ways to go on my sales and stuff like that. I'm just always learning and trying to, you know, become better.
Yep.
So
Iron sharpens iron. When you surround
Yes.
yourself with great people, if you surround yourself with eagles, you're going to become an eagle. If you
Yep.
surround yourself with cockroaches, you're going to get smushed.
we don't want to be
barefoot.
cockroaches. Yeah. Yeah, you are who you hang out with. You know, it's funny, Rick will yell at us and be like, you guys are hanging out with people who just aren't, you know, motivated, or people just that don't have a lot of money. I mean, you got to have some money to buy a house. Let's just be honest. So,
Yep.
you know, the people that have good jobs, that are working hard, like those are the types of people we like to work with.
Yep. 100%. Can you share, do you have a either a memorable, funny, or give me like a funny real estate story or a memorable story that kind of sticks out in your head, maybe a strange negotiation or a tough negotiation or something kind of funny?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of funny ones. I mean, putting me on the spot, I feel like, you know, I had a deal once that, you know, was actually in Tequesta, amazing client, like just such a nice couple. And we ended up selling their house really sight unseen. It was kind of back in COVID. And, you know, we got two great offers. They were competing against each other. We sold it for over ask. But I was talking to my client about it, and I think we listed it for 1.499 million. And so, you know, he told me over the phone that he would take like 1.45. But perfectly legal negotiating, I was able to get these two people to bid up to 1.525. So I exceeded his number by 75 grand, and I felt great about it. I'm like, this guy's gonna love me. You know, I just got a great negotiation for him. And so when I told him, of course, he was super elated. And two kind of funny things I did that were, you know, beneficial for me. Actually, you know, in the end, was towards the end of the deal, there was a couple weeks left. I'm like, gosh, you know, I never got to put a sign out front because we got it under contract, and he didn't want to spook the neighbors and kind of make it known that he's moving. We already got it, you know, signed, sealed, delivered. And so I called him and I said, you know, I was like, hey, Rich, his name was Rich. And he's like, you know, I'm like, hey man, I just realized I never got to put a sign in your yard, you know, and never got to like get any drive-by, you know, potential clients. And I was like, so will you be my sign? You know, do you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell? And he's like, actually, I know two people. So right there, he gave me two referrals. And then I was joking the last week because we got that extra 75, and he told me the number that he really wanted. And I just said, you know, Rich, hey, at closing, I was going to call the closing agent and tell them that 75 was mine. Is it my 75 or yours? And he started laughing. And I think I signed him up at like a slight discount. And I'm like, do you really think I was a discount broker? You know, so yeah, it was really funny. We talk to this day. We still get lunch. I mean, this was like 4 years ago. You know, he's been a great, great past client. You know, he comes to my events. He gives me referrals, and it was just a funny story. I'm like, I remember thinking like, yeah, is this my money or yours? You know, so, but yeah, there's a lot of other funny ones that probably aren't even podcast worthy, but.
Well, I think one good note in there is asking for the referral. That's one of the things that we're kind of focusing on right now.
Yep.
And like, how many times in business, no matter what you sell, like you don't ask for the referral. Like, you do an amazing job. You bend over backwards. You're working nights and weekends. You're all of that, all the stress. You get to the finish line. Everything's perfect. You do a great job. People are great. Maybe they'll post a little review for you online.
Yep.
But you never ask. Like, who else do you know that's looking to buy a home in the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Simple question.
Sure. I mean, I think that, you know, ultimately you have to set the tone. Like, you know, my job is to really take great care of you, because ultimately that client was probably a referral, right? So Jeff referred you, and, you know, I'm going to take extra special care of you because Jeff referred you. Like, I don't want to let you down. I don't want to let Jeff down. And so my goal is to really take, you know, keep kind of saying it, but take great care of you so that, you know, you'll, you know, automatically be like, hey, you know, to my friends and my network, you know, to that person's friends and network, like, hey, you know, Greg took great care of me. You got to use him. I mean, so from the get-go, I think it's like, hey, like, I want to do such a great job for you that, like, you're going to be telling me about your friends and family. And ultimately, like, I want to work with the people you know, because you've been so great, man. So, like, I really want to work with great people. And that's
you're
really
setting the tone up front, and then
set the tone
process.
up front. Yeah. I mean, you really set the tone up front. And even like the Rich story, like, you know, I probably told him that, you know, a little bit late, but it was still early enough in the deal that we had time to, you know, hang out and you know, still talk, you know, 3 weeks before the closing. So, you know, he was just like instantly like, yeah, I've got two people for you. You exceeded my expectations. Like, the goal is to exceed the expectations. But it's hard. I mean, real estate is very, like, it's kind of a commodity business. It's like everybody's a realtor, you know, so you have to stand out. But yeah, I like to set the tone. I like to be kind of funny about it. I like to, like, throw in early, like, stuff like, wow, you know, found you this house super quick. Like, you know, you want to live close to your friends, right? We need to get your friends moving down here so they're, you know, on the same street. You know, you try to do that. And then really, like, I'm getting better at just being totally honest and, like, hey, you know, I'm grinding out here. Like, it's a little hard. Like, last month we kind of broke even, and, you know, it's frustrating because I feel like I really did take good care of you. So, you know, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell right now? I really want to help them. And I think if you're just honest, people will. Yeah.
I think a lot of people want to help and are willing to help if you have that relationship with them.
100%. Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. That's really good
I
stuff.
mean, it's, you know, it's something I'm trying to do every time, and I think we do it probably half the time or a quarter of the time.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like every day, okay, let's make it a challenge today to ask, or to just be personable, and to just, you know, because if you feel like, if you're not good at what you're doing, you're not going to ask no matter what.
Right. Yeah, because you don't feel worthy.
But if you're good at what you're doing, and you're like, hey, we really do a good job. Like, I would hate for you to go with someone else and not get taken care of. So if you have that mentality, I think then you can change, you know, your approach.
So do a good job and ask for the referral.
Yes.
Greg,
I'll give you a candy bar.
I got some rapid fire questions for you.
Oh, wow. I'm not prepared.
I know you're not. And you don't know what the questions are.
Can I sip my coffee
Yeah.
before that? Get a little amped up for this.
Deep breath.
CrossCountry, best realtor in town, voted year after year.
I just need to get the coffee cup with a handle on the other side so I can. Rapid fire. Greg Forrest, what is your favorite business book?
Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss.
Solid book.
Great book.
Yeah. Lunch with one person, dead or alive?
Tiger Woods.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Favorite golf course?
Olympic Club out in San Francisco. Really, really awesome.
If you could use one club for all 18 holes.
Oh, gosh, we're going golf. Like, geez. One club for all 18 holes. 7-iron.
7-iron. Favorite place in Palm Beach?
Place? Restaurant?
Non-restaurant.
Non-restaurant. Favorite place? The beach. Come on.
Favorite restaurant in Palm Beach?
Ooh, it's a tough one. Man, can I pick two?
Sure.
It's a Thai Bukan and Meat Market. It's a Thai.
Nice. Favorite sports team?
Miami Dolphins.
There we go. Best business advice that you ever got?
Best business advice that I ever got. I think the last couple of years, it's really our guy Rick Ruby. It's math, not emotions.
Sticking to the numbers, exactly. Yeah. Don't be so emotional.
Moneyball. You watch Moneyball?
No.
Watch it.
Yeah.
All about the numbers, and they win a bunch of baseball games. It's really cool.
Nice. Last question. Housing market, end of this year, we up, down, par?
I think we're par. Yeah, I think there's going to be some anticipation with the season. We do live in a seasonal area, so I think there's going to be some hype. But with rates still a little bit high, it might be about par.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Is that fair?
It's fair. Greg, this is good. There's a lot of good content
This
today.
is good, yeah.
I really appreciate it.
We're just not going to work the rest of the day. We're just going to hang out.
Yeah, let's go golfing.
Let's do it.
Awesome.